Hi, everybody. Gonna just see if you can find me. Let's see. That was the wrong button. I see 4 of you on here. All right, let me pin it to the top. Hi, Donna. Thanks for sharing, Donna. How's everyone doing this afternoon? I was supposed to go to school and teach, but it got canceled, so they said, we don't want her teaching kids. Just kidding. Hi, Mary. Nice to see you guys in the afternoon. Good afternoon, Wanda. Or as Mr. Fredrickson says, afternoon. I hope everybody's doing well today. Hi, Adrian. Hi, Karen. Thank you guys for the shares and hellos. I'm glad to be with you today. And I know there's some other people on at this time, so I do appreciate you stopping in to see me. Hi, Penny. Nice to see you guys. So, just in case you didn't know, the bee paper sold out. So the bee paper, the kerchief kit, and the sequin ribbon combo. Those 3 things are sold out. So apparently everybody likes the bee paper, I'm sure. Hope everyone's doing well today. I missed, somebody said something on here. Let's see. You afraid you missed me? No. How are you, Denise? How you feeling? Thanks, Stacy. So, what I had planned to make today, and we can totally diverge from it if nobody's interested in it. You're not going to hurt my feelings. I thought it would be fun if we did some resisting. You glad you got it? I know I had somebody who wanted it, and I said, I'll give you a little bit anyway because I have some. You can have the rest of my pack. I thought we could do some emboss resist with this and maybe make a dude card, but if you guys want to focus more on Easter or if you want to do something different, if you remember, and I don't have the card because I gave it away the same day that I made it when we did the one with the lady with the umbrella last week. I feel like that was on YouTube that I did that one. But I made a really pretty card on there. So we could always do one with the other lady with the kicking, but I thought this one ended up turning out really cool. And I think I'm going to do that for my club class. 2 weeks. It'll be in 2 weeks. I think we're going to do that. So we can totally do an emboss resist, and what we're going to do if we do that one is we would stamp all these in white embossing powder on white paper, and then, or you could do clear, and then we'll do an emboss resist, and we'll put some ink on it to kind of jazz it up, and then these will be like a really bright pop. Hi, Christina. Hi, Andy. Oh my gosh, the people you get when you're later in the day. So funny. Christina is my school friend from grade school, and Andy is my cousin. How hilarious. Now I'm nervous because I have people watching me. Hey, Michelle. How are you? Hope you're doing well. So if nobody has any other... Oh, Mary just got home from Mass. Oh, I keep forgetting you're on the other coast, so that makes total sense to me. We can totally do the emboss resist unless anybody else has a card that they're looking for. I did go back through and I looked at my list of suggestions that everybody has given me from... I think I did it in the beginning of February, and I have checked off almost every single card that you all asked, because we did a pop and twist, we did get well, we did guy cards, fun folds, kids cards, mail cards, vellum cards, 50th anniversary cards. You're saying music from the heart and rise and shine. I did get rise and shine. As a matter of fact, I made a really simple card with rise and shine. This is one of the new celebration items as well. Sorry, I always forget the glare. And this one actually does coordinate with the dies that are they're in the online store. So hey, Tammy. Hi, Nikki. Oh my gosh, it's feeling a little nervous because there's people that I know in real life on here. Not that I don't know you guys in real life, but you know what I mean. So we'll stick with the emboss resist. We'll do that one because that's pretty fun. And then what I can do is, you said music. We could do one with the even with the Rise and Shine. That would be kind of fun. So maybe we can do 2. So, hope you are doing well, guys. Everybody that joined me, thank you all so much for joining. So, I'm going to have to take off my flannel shirt. I'm getting a little overheated in here already with my nerves. It is nice out today here, finally. Oh, hi, Tammy. I was just watching your video. Nice to see you. Hi, Brina, Christina. Oh my goodness, it's so fun. So many people on here. So it's really beautiful here today. So I need to ditch the flannel. I'm thinking we're like a little bit past that here, but probably I'll take it off. And the next thing you know, it's going to snow. So maybe we'll be lucky. So I'm going to go ahead and turn you guys around and flip you. So if you get a little nauseated, just stop watching. I'll give you a little peek out the window there. And, okay, give me 1 second. All right, so now we're down, all settled. So if you had to look away, hop back on. So what we'll do is I'm going to go ahead and turn on my heat tool. And you guys know I've shared this before. This is the Boss. Crafter Solutions makes this. It's Lisa and her husband, John. So I'm going to turn this on, and it's nice because you can let it sit and heat up. And we'll do this for the embossing. That way it'll be nice and hot, and it'll melt everything really quickly so it doesn't warp our paper. And just to be sure we don't get any smudge or smear marks, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead with my embossing buddy, and I'm just going to run it over everything just to kind of cut down on the scatter static. So we'll do the Dude card. We'll either do it in Blueberry Bushel or Night of Navy. I'm not sure which one yet. And then the other one we'll do in a bright emboss resist for Rise and Shine. And then what I will do, because I don't think I'll have time to do 3, is I will go back and make a card with Music of My Heart. And I will share that one as well for the emboss resist. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take some just random images with my Versamark ink. You can see my pad is stained, but it does not affect the use of the pad. So my other one looks way worse than that, believe it or not. So what I'm going to do is, oh, it's still morning in Iowa. Well, good morning, PJ. I'm just going to ink up my stamp. And I'm going to do one at a time. So I'm going to set the other one on the side for now. And just randomly, in different directions, stamp my images. Could use a piece of scrap paper as well. Set that on the side so I remember to clean it. You could use some scrap paper, but my paper or my mat that I'm stamping on, I'm not really worried about if it wipes over because it's a mat that's able to be cleaned up. So Andy, if you're still watching, doesn't this hat remind you of Peepaw? So that was our grandfather, and he used to wear a hat kind of similar to this. This set kind of reminds me of him a lot. That was my dad's dad. He was kind of very dressed up man. And we'll put in, I think that's it, because I don't want to do too much. I want to leave some room. So then what I'm going to do is grab my handy coffee filter. And I'm going to do, just so it sticks out a little more, I'm actually going to use white embossing powder. But since we're doing it on white paper, you could also use clear if you have it handy. So I'm just going to sprinkle this on top. And what it does is it sticks to all that Versamark ink, which is a tacky ink. And Versamark does stay wet longer, so it's not like a dye-based ink. It actually holds, so it kind of looks, you can see it there, and then once we actually heat it, it will turn white and shiny. So I'm just going to clean this up, pour this back. And every time, it's kind of funny, I know Tammy and I have said this before, when you fill up your embossing powder, sometimes it feels like you get more than what you started with. So it's like it never ever runs out. I'm going to take my mat, my little towel here, and just clean off my mat. And then we're going to heat this one. So when you have your heat tool, you just want to kind of keep it moving. Since this has been heating, it's really, really hot, so everything will melt fairly quickly. And you want to kind of keep it moving around, especially if you're using white, because you don't want to singe the paper. Just kind of keep it in one spot for a little bit, let it start to heat. You can also flip it over and heat it from the back. Will kind of even out your paper a little bit. just keep it moving. And once it's shiny, it's set. But also be careful, because when it is hot, you can burn yourself. I've done that myself before. You just turn this around. So as you can see there, this one isn't heated yet, and this one is. So one is shiny and the other one is still dull. So I kind of always hold it close so I can see what I'm doing to make sure that it is heated enough. Because if you don't heat it, it actually will just flake off. Let's just take a peek. Yep, this is a little bit... Especially with some of the more solid parts of the image, you just want to make sure they're nicely heated. I think that looks pretty good. Okay, so for a moment, we're gonna work with this one for now, and then we'll go back and do the other one. So it's shiny, as you can see it now, which means that it's actually heated. Okay, so you can do two things here. Let me roll my sleeves up a little bit. You can do two things here. You could tape this down if you wanted to. You could use, hold it down with your fingers. It just depends on, I know some people don't like to get their fingers quite as messy as others. The other thing you could do is I have these brushes that I've gotten from the dollar store. These are like those blending brushes, but this is just a makeup brush. So these are from the dollar store. I know not all of them carry them. I think you can get some of them at Walmart. You can probably get them on Amazon too, but I think they're a little bit more expensive. You could also use a sponge. You could use a sponge dauber. So really just depends on the intensity that you want to have with the color. So what I'm going to do, just to do something a little bit different, I know I said I was going to do blue. I'm going to do Pretty Peacock because I think it'll be really a nice color. So, hi Tina. Thanks for joining us. Okay, so I'm just going to lightly, and I'll show you kind of a couple different ways you can do it. So I'm just kind of brushing this back and forth on my ink pad. And then I am going to start off, and I'm just going to sponge or rub onto what we've done. And then again, if you want a more intense color, the sponge daubers give a really intense color. The regular sponges, they give a nice color as well. So it just kind of depends. When you use the daubers, and I'll show you the difference for this. What we'll do is maybe kind of more like an ombre look where one is a little bit darker than the other. So again, you can see this does give a nice smooth coloring. If you wanted to, let me see if I can find one that's actually potentially cleaner. With a sponge, same thing, you'll just pick up the ink, and you always want to start with your color kind of off the page, that way you can see what you have. So you can see with your ink, with your sponge, you get a much deeper color. I also really kind of got a big dot of ink there, so that's probably a little bit why. But one thing about this technique, is not for those kind of people that are really concerned with what their fingers or fingernails look like. It's kind of like me when I was talking about gardening before, how makes you a little bit inkier than maybe you would want to look. All right, whoop. So there's that. So this one is a little bit more intense in ink. And then I'll do one more. Now I know this has blue on it, but since I'm going from a blue to kind of a green blue, I'm okay with it being like that. So I'm just going to ink this up. With the sponge dauber, you have to be particularly careful, because if not, you'll get really circular marks on your card. So it's really important to kind of start off when you do that. And then this one is really, really intense in color. So same thing again. Start over on this side so you can see. So this one is super intense in color. Oh, see, even have people on helicopters flying over to see my videos. Just kidding. We live very close to a Aberdeen Proving Ground, so we have a lot of people flying over. So you can see, kind of looks like, and you're like, well, what did you do all that white stuff for? So if you've never seen this before, this is a resist technique. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go a little bit to the edge for some of these. So it's kind of like lighter to darker. I'm going to really quickly, I'm going to use actually this. Hopefully I didn't just touch that and smudge it all up. And I'm going to wipe this off. This is just a wet, kind of like a chamois. It's what I had before I had the chamois. So I'm just going to wipe it a little bit with the wet. And then same thing again, just with my towel. Now, this is best if you have like a paper towel or something. It tends to work better, but since I have this handy, I'll use this. Now what you're going to do is you're going to just take your towel and you're going to just buff off your ink. And anything that you embossed with the white, the ink is going to come off of. So it's going to make everything really white again underneath. Again, if you have a paper towel, you could use that. This one's just handy, and I for some reason always forget to have paper towels up here. So you're just buffing the ink off of that white embossing powder. And I'm going to try my best to hold this in a spot that I don't smudge it up again with my dirty fingers. So then you have this cool resisted technique. And you could do this with white, with black. It would be a little bit hard to do it with black on here, but you could do black powder. So you could have heated it with black powder, so then it would be a really big pop with that. So this is a fun way to get something else. Again, it's kind of like DIY, DSP. You can make your own designer series paper. So before I go on to the second one, I'm just going to clean these off really quickly, just with my towel here. Now when you do use Versamark specifically on your stamps, you really want to make sure you clean it, because it does tend to, like I said, it remains very tacky, so it kind of can attract dirt and debris, and then if you don't clean it right away, it can be really, really hard to get off your stamps, because it kind of makes them like, it's basically like being in a really dirty house that hasn't been cleaned, dusted. It just really gets stuff sticking to it. So make sure when you use Versamark, you do really clean it off. And if you have any spots that you missed, another great thing to use is the stamp cleaning pad, which kind of in the beginning, it does look white when you start. But in the beginning, I thought, how good is this thing going to be? This is really good. Someone else mentioned this actually in Team Stamp It. We were talking about this. If you have stamps, specifically rubber stamps that are really kind of old and maybe they're not in as good a condition, this really is very helpful at getting your rubber stamps super duper clean, and it kind of almost seems to moisturize them a little bit. So if you're having trouble getting your stamps to stamp, the cleaning pad really is super helpful for that. So honestly, I wasn't going to buy it, and for the longest time I didn't, and then people kept asking me what I thought of it, and I was like, well, I guess I might as well get it just to be able to share it. Now I think it's one of my favorite tools. So this one we did with Pretty Peacock. So now we have our, and I'm going to go back with this just because I'm afraid I flipped to the wrong side. So now I'm going to go back to the Rise and Shine. And what we'll do with this one is, I'll do this with a combo. So we'll do like a sunrise, since it's Rise and Shine, to kind of stick with the theme. So we'll do 3 colors. We will do Mango. Oh, you know what? We might as well do Pineapple Punch. This one's going to be retiring soon. And then we'll do Poppy Parade. So this will kind of be like a sunrise looking card. So let's see what goes. I don't know how it's going to turn out, but we'll see. When you do have photopolymer stamps such as these, this stamp set is actually reversible. So you can use both sides. You could use the side with the little flowers, or you could use this so it will be flat. Same with this one. This one has the cutout. If you wanted your mug to be left or right, you could use either one. Okay. And again, we do also have dies to coordinate with this. So when you use these for the first time, the other thing you want to do if you notice that you're not getting a nice stamp is to clean them off really, really well. And also you want to do that for both sides, because if you ever notice that either something's sticking or it's not really stamping the way you wanted it to stamp, you want to make sure you keep both sides clean. And I would suggest to you to buy some hand sanitizer. However, I think that's in high demand right now, but hand sanitizer is really good for cleaning your blocks, you know, if we can get our hands on it again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with, same thing again, this is going to be for actually coloring it. So I'm going to do it once again with Versamark, and I'm going to start with the part that has the spots. I'll just stamp a couple of these around. But when you have photopolymer, you kind of have to give it a longer second before you pull it off. And also, I do have a mat underneath of here, so you want to make sure you're stamping on something that has a background. And I'm going to turn my heat tool back on. So I'm going to just ink that up again. I'll put another one over here. And we'll do one more of this one. Actually, you know what? Instead of doing one more of that one, we'll flip this one backwards. That way we have one cup that's facing the other direction. So just flip this over. pretty good. Pop this one down here. All right, so let me move that, and then we will grab, what else do we have in here? We have the little sunshine. This is cute. We'll do a couple of these. Just like that little bright sun sparkle kind of image. If you're into tea and not coffee, you could totally add this little tag. This is really cute. I actually made one of these the week before for my friend. Actually, I didn't make it for my friend. I just made it and decided to send it to her. I thought she could really use it. I'll put one more down here. And there's lots of other little cute images in here as well. So I'm just going to put just a couple little flowers just to kind of fill in the space. All right, that's going to be good enough. So I'm going to do the same thing. Take my, I feel like this one might not have filled in as nicely as I thought, so we'll see. Actually, no, it's not bad. So I'm just kind of dumping. Again, I went with white embossing powder. I'm going to just flip it around, make sure I have everything covered as much as I can. And just give it a nice flick to get the excess off. Yeah, there's just a teeny bit here that I missed, but no biggie. So I'm going to set this on the side. Let me just put this back. If you have the little hot dog papers, whoops, overflowed. If you have the little hot dog papers instead of a coffee filter, those are already a little bit thinner and narrower, so they work really, really well too. Let's see if I can pick this up. I always did like using the tray, but I found that when I used the little embossing tray, more of it stuck to the tray than actually went back in. So I kind of gave up on that one. All right, so let's move this up. So we'll do the same thing again. We're going to just heat this. And once again, just keep moving it around. Especially when you have the more solid image. So this one down here has a much more solid image to it. So you just want to make sure that you heat it thoroughly, but that you're not singeing anything. Just flip this. Same thing again, you know that it's set when it gets shiny. And sometimes it's a little bit hard to tell with the white on white. So you could always use clear as well. I feel like there's just a little spot. I'm going to just go over this a little bit one more time. All right. So that looks pretty good. I did miss a little bit of a spot here, but it's no big deal. We're just going to leave it is how it is. So you can see it's shiny. It's got more of a reflective surface there. Okay. So I'm just going to give that just a second to cool down. Let me put this away. I have one more stamp here that I forgot to clean. And then we'll go ahead and add in our color. Now I'm going to do the color with, I'm going to do it with sponges versus daubers because I only have so many of these, and these you kind of have to wipe off when you're done to get the color off of them. Probably better to run this through the sink, or you could have one that was like blues because they aren't really terrifically expensive. So you could get one for yellows, maybe one for blues, one for reds, but we don't have the time to do that today. So I do have a ton of sponges. So we'll just pick 3 different sponges. 2, 3. And then we will have a sponge for each color. And then all we'll have to do when we're finished doing this is just mount them. So I am going to start with the lightest color. So I'll start with Pineapple Punch first. And then I'm just going to do the same thing again, just picking up some ink. Oops, that one's a dirty one. I don't want to use that one. Picking up some ink. You can also, if you don't want to use your pad, you could also put some ink onto a block. That'd be another fun way to do it. It's funny, this ink looks like it's already seen better days because I can see little pieces of the sponge. I should say the sponge, not the ink. The sponge flaking off. This is probably one of my older ones. So we'll go with that one for the yellow. I don't want to do too much. Then we will go with a different one for the mango. So again, I'm going to kind of start on the side. And I'm going to go up a little bit into the yellow, but not all the way up. So you're kind of blending. It's like a yellow-orange in between there. Okay, and I'm going to keep this one out because I may go back. Now, the last color will be Poppy Parade. Put that over there in case I need any more. So this one I'm going to start from the bottom, just turning it around, only because it's easier for me to do stuff right-handed. Okay, so same thing again. So kind of heavy on the bottom, and then I'm going to go into the mango to kind of make these 2 colors meet a little bit, but then still stay just a little bit heavier down here at the bottom. Okay, this was the mango. And you can really get a nice color merge between the 2 colors if you could just keep kind of going back and working it. Working the colors together. I'm going to do a little bit more of the pineapple since I have it. And bring the pineapple down to the mango a little bit. But you get a really nice, like a sunshiny, bright effect. So that's very pretty on its own. Let me close up these ink pads. What I'll do with these, I think I'll do something, whatever we're going to do with this sentiment, we're going to do it, I think, in black, because I think it'll really make it pop. And then when we do the other one, we will do that one in, I think we might do that maybe in navy. So I'm just going to clean this up. Probably be better if I started with something slightly wet. Just wipe this up. I'll tell you what, I've had this Easy Clean mat for some time. And it really has done a great job, but it's kind of starting to lose its cleaning abilities. I'm trying to find a nice clean piece of this cloth. Again, that's why a paper towel will work really well. And you're basically just removing the ink off of the white embossing powder. So it really, really stands out bright white again. So I'm going to kind of try to keep moving down. That way I don't bring any of that dark, dark color up to the bright yellow pineapple color. Okay. So that looks pretty fun. There we go. So pretty simple because it's just random images. We rotated different directions and they're really, really fun, especially this ombre one. I think I agree with you. It's really, really nice with the shades that we chose for that. So now all I'm going to do is we're going to back these. So I'm actually going to put this onto, I'm going to do Pineapple Punch for the background for this, but I'm also going to put a layer of black. That way it'll really make it pop. And then for this one, what I'll do is really like to, I might do this onto a terracotta because terracotta and the pretty peacock, they look really nice together. These 2 colors, they're very complementary. So we're going to do that. Let me grab a piece of, whoops, that is not the right color. That's grapefruit. Terracotta is hiding for me today. So you'll see this looks really nice if you look at these 2 together. But we can also even add a black layer in there. I think would look really nice. And then we're going to go with pineapple for the background for this one, and then a piece of black in between as well. Just grab one piece of that, should work. All we have to do is cut up our paper and then just kind of figure out our greetings. So I'm going to do this one first. So we will do this. So it is 4 by 5 1/4. So I'll trim this to 5 3/4. That way this one is 5 1/4, and then take this one to 5 1/4. I do that a lot when I'm trimming stuff for classes, just because it's a little bit easier to cut if you have a whole piece. So there's those two pieces. I'm going to go ahead and trim this down. I'm going to make this one 3 3/4 by 5. Now, even though I already kind of did this edge, I'll just go back and sponge the very end of it. So 3 3/4. I'm actually going to cut off a little bit of each so we don't have too much dark or too much light lost. There's that. So I'm going to just take this one just a little bit with a little bit of extra sponging. And then this one will be 4 1/4. And then we'll go ahead and score this at 5 1/2. So this one will be just like this. Kind of like that. Actually, you know what? I want the bright part at the top. So like that. And then we'll do the same with this one. Let me scoot this over. So this one is going to be 3 3/4 by 5. This one I'm just trimming off kind of the lighter spot. This one will sponge just a little bit as well. We have our black panel for that one. And then this one, we're going to go ahead and score it at 4 1/4 and cut it in half. And then we'll have 2 bases. So I could just save this for something else. And also, if you didn't want to put this onto this, you could always put this onto navy. You could put it onto peacock, kind of whatever you wanted to do. And you could honestly even save these little pieces, and you could decorate the inside of your card with them. So you could just add this little something to your card. So you could totally keep that. You could do that really for both of these and add something to it. So I might do that with them later. So what I'm going to do for this one is I'm going to just find the white edge. So you can see this has color, this has color. So I'm just going to go over just the edge of the paper, not really intending to make it any darker on this point. I just kind of want to hide that white edge. So there's one. And then this one I'll just do with whichever ink it happens to be that I grab. There we go. Okay, so all I'm going to do is put these together. Dang, where's my bone folders? Here they are. All right. You could cut something out of this if you wanted to save yourself some paper. You could cut out a piece to use. Remember that before you put yours down. Sometimes I try to do that to show you guys how to save paper, but sometimes I also don't want to just make things go on forever. But you can always cut out a layer from underneath. We're going to do the same with this one, just a little liquid glue in case I have a little whoopsie of where I have it lined up. So I got to tell you, I kind of thought I was going to use the all dressed up stamp set, but didn't have any idea we'd be making this beautiful ombre card with Rise and Shine. This is beautiful, such a pretty card. So I'll do the same with this. So this will go onto the black. And now I don't know. Now I'm rethinking. I feel like maybe I should put this on to navy or peacock instead. What do you guys think? I don't know. I think I might swap. I think I might put this on to navy. Or peacock, I mean. That way it'll just be like a really nice dark card. Let's see what that looks like if we hold it up. Looks pretty cool. I think I'm going to go with that one. So, change my mind. Although I do really like the peacock and the terracotta together. Sometimes you do it and you're kind of like, meh, it would look fine. But I just really think I'm going to stick with the tone on tone. There we go. And now one thing about the All Dressed Up stamp set, it doesn't have any words in it at all. So you could use Geared Up Garage. You could even use Rise and Shine. That would go nicely because there's a lot of really fun sentiments you could add in that. There we go. That looks really cool. And if this was too dark with the black, the other thing you could do instead of using black is either basic gray or gray granite would look really cool too. So either one would look equally neat, I think. And then I'm going to show you what I meant for this one. So let me see if this is trimmed to the size I'm going for. It's probably too big. Yeah. So let me trim this down. Let's see. We'll have 4. And so let me see how much I want to take off of this. Yeah, probably about 1/4 inch. This one's not going to work with that. Hold on one sec. Would have been so happy if this would have been like 4 by 5 3/4 even would have been cool. All right, let me take a little 1/4 inch off. And then you could take kind of either one, so just depending on if you wanted something to go across the bottom. This is a little bit short because of the way we trimmed it, so I'm going to go with this one instead, this little piece here. Just put this, I'm going to put it on the right. You can always trim it if it's a little bit too long. Kind of trying to make sure that looks eyeballed-ish to that the measurement's about even from one side to the other. You could always butt it to the end too if you're afraid it's going to overlap. We have that. And then what we'll do is we'll just grab our scissors, cut that down, and then this can be your inside panel. So just like that. So then you've used that little piece that you cut off. And again, if I would have trimmed it the other way, I probably could have used this piece across the bottom, but and also one thing, if you were smart, you probably would have stamped your sentiment first and then put this on. That way you have less chance of goofing up whatever you stamp here. But cute, right? So you have your little extra piece that goes right there. So that's pretty fun. And then you could do the same thing for the inside of this one. You could even add like a gray granite panel and then put this across the bottom. If you were, again, this one is a little bit shorter, but you could even just stamp something, punch it out, and put this on here. So easy way to add that. But let me, before we're finished, have some scraps. What I did was I had so many of those little scraps in my paper that I actually pulled them out and put them in a little bin. That way I kind of would have them. So I have all these little scraps. They're kind of ready for cards whenever I need them. And then these other ones that are super long. So I kind of pulled these out so I'd have them together. Just so I would have less stuff that I was potentially gumming up by not putting them in the correct spot. So let's do... You've Got This, because I did that already for one, which I thought was really cute. And I also did a little thing where I cut the You've Got This but first in half. So I cut the but first off because this is one whole stamp. So I just thought this would be cool. So we'll do this one in black. And I'm going to just use my little scrap. Let me flip that over. Scrap piece here. And I'm going to just attempt to line it up. Hopefully it's straight for the most part. Hopefully I put it on there straight. I'm going to go back to this end. Okay. So what we'll do is I'm going to put this here. And then we'll just trim this part off. So that's one. And let me see if there's anything we can use out of here. How about Let's Hang Out Soon? Because that's pretty neat. Move this over. So these are both from the Rise and Shine. So we're using the same stamp set greeting wise for both of these cards. Now this is also the first time that I've stamped with these. So you also want to make sure that you're careful. Yeah, that's big enough. You're careful when you stamp with these for the first time, because sometimes depending on how they ink, probably should wipe this off first. They don't always ink the way you want them to when you used them the first time and you haven't cleaned them. All right, so let's see. Try and keep this near the bottom. You could always stamp this with your Stamparatus if you wanted to go straight in the line and then trim it out after the fact. That looks pretty good. I think I did a good job considering, you know, stamping under pressure is not always fun. So I'm going to put this here, and then this one's going to go actually from the black to the black, whereas you could always trim it so it was just over top of that. Actually, I think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to cut this right here, so I'm just going to put a little teeny pencil mark. Let's see if I can do this without ruining it. Just take a little bit off. Okay. And I'm going to use glue, liquid glue. That way I can move it if I need to, if I feel like it's not straight. Put that right here. That's pretty perfect. So very simple greeting, pretty cool, right? And then for this one, I will put this one all the way over. So it goes all the way over the black to this part. So same thing again. Let me just kind of eyeball this where this goes. I could certainly measure it. That's an option, but you know, sometimes when you measure stuff, it doesn't work out as well. At least that happens to me anyway. I'm much better at eyeballing things versus planning to cut them out. Make sure that's straight. Okay, let me just test this out once more. Make sure I look like I've got, that's pretty good alignment, especially for me. You could even, if you wanted to, just to take off a little bit of the white on this, we'll just sponge the edge. And this one, you could even add like a little bit of like a rhinestone action to the other side of this if you felt like you needed to add something. I'm not really great with placing rhinestones. For some reason, I feel like they always look like they could have been done better. Kind of pop that here. And there. Press it down so it's nice and even. And cute. Absolutely cute. Super duper cute. And then you could always add something to the inside here. So stamp that. Or you could leave it that way if you knew what you were going to use this for later. So you can always do that too with your cards, with your sentiments, depending on what it is you have handy. But again, we still have this other little piece. So you could put a white panel in here and add something to it. You could just put this down somewhere in here and put like a little punched out piece on top of it to add your sentiment. So you don't really have to get rid of these little scraps. You could use them for the inside of your card to decorate once you trim it down. But I think that was pretty fun idea to be able to use those. And I like the black background. It really makes, especially on these yellow, the ombre effect of the yellow really makes everything pop on it. Makes it super duper fun. So once again, you can do this emboss resist. We did it with white, but if you're using white cardstock, you could absolutely do it with clear because it is going to just show the white through from behind. You could do this with a color. So if you had white cardstock, we started again with white. But instead of embossing with white, you could emboss with black, and then you could have the lighter color, and then you would have the black resist. So that would be really neat. You could do it with the shimmery black, which would be another fun way to do it. Just kind of stretching out your embossing choices. And then one other thing, in case you didn't know, if you wanted a specific color of embossing powder, and Stampin' Up! Does not necessarily carry it. So say, for example, you wanted Pretty Peacock. What you're going to do is you would stamp, and I'm just going to show you this real quick because we have a minute. So I'm just going to show you with, let's see. We'll do it with just this little flower here. So what you do, if you've never seen this before, I'm going to crank my heat gun on again, is you're going to stamp with, first off, you do want to use your embossing buddy because it's going to cut down on any scatter static that you'd have. So make sure you always hit it with that. And then you're going to grab your ink pad of color, the choice you want to use. You're going to want to make sure you have your, where is mine, your clear embossing powder handy, okay? And good gravy, your Versamark. So what you'll do is you'll take your image, you're going to ink it in Versamark. Let me open this. So you're going to ink it in Versamark. Then you're going to dip it in the color that you want. So we'll say Pretty Peacock. Stamp it. Pick up your powder. Dump it. And then you'll heat it, which is just setting the clear powder. Because that was so hot, it melted really fast. And then you have clear embossing in any color that you want. So just remember, you always want to do the Versamark first, and Versamark into your ink is not going to harm anything, so you don't have to worry about that. But Versamark on the stamped image first, then into the color you want, then you stamp it, and then just add the clear powder and heat set it. But it's a great way to have all different colors of embossing powder without having to have all different colors of embossing powder. So pretty handy tip there in case you're looking for a color and you're like, darn it, why don't we have Purple Posy embossing powder? Oh, goodness, I think I just lost that stamp. Here it is. So let me just move this out of the way. I just want to put this away because my clear powder is the one that is no longer regenerating itself, because I think I use that one the most with probably the different color heat embossing and also with the full panel embossing, which I've done before. So I hope you guys found this helpful today. Thank you again so very much for joining me at an unusual time. You know, I'm not usually on this late. Usually it's 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Wednesdays. I hope you guys learned something and had some fun. Thank you very much for joining me. If there's anything that you'd like to get from the online store, I would certainly appreciate your support. You can shop for any of these products, and right now through March 31st, earn free celebration products with every $50 purchase. So we do have some $50 and some $100 items as well. There are 3 things, again, that I did mention sold out. The kerchief card kit, the ribbon and embellishment package, and the honey bee DSP. I believe it's called Golden Honey DSP. Those items sold out, but we have lots of new stuff, including Rise and Shine and the Well Dressed stamp set, which I think these are going to be some of my favorites for all time because I love this. This one, again, does also have a coordinating die set because this matches the Christmas version that they had in the winter holiday catalog. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. Get out and get some sunshine. Enjoy the beautiful weather while we have it if you're in a place that doesn't normally have it. As much as we would have loved some snow, I think at this point I'm just ready for spring. So I'll hope for snow next year. So I will see you guys again either tomorrow or Friday on YouTube. If you're not already following me there, I am at Rachthestamper. If you hit the subscribe button and then turn on the notifications on YouTube, it should tell you when I go live. I know sometimes it doesn't always work, but Facebook is kind of the same too. So check your subscriptions. Make sure that the people that you are following, you do have your notifications turned on so you can catch them live. And I hope you guys have a great day. I'll talk to you again real soon.